Hey guys, welcome to the RoundTable. Here at the RoundTable, we continue the conversations that we have had from Sunday morning and how you can have practical ways to help every person take their next steps towards Jesus together.
Hey everybody, welcome to the RoundTable. We're gonna have to go like this because we're still in the transition period of. Hey Nick, I'm saying it as a good thing.
It is a good thing
because
we're getting there.
No, that I know. Listen, my point just is it's a good thing because it just shows that Ministry Life Church is growing.
Yeah,
great things are happening. So my point just was to say for today, because we normally have 3 cameras, but for today you're gonna look like this so that you can make sure to see. But we're on episode number 51. RoundTable. We're very thankful that you guys could join us. Just as a reminder, what is the RoundTable? What are we trying to do? Where are we trying to go? So I actually listened back to a couple of these.
You did?
I haven't listened to one ever.
That's amazing.
So I went back and listened to it because I was like, I want to know if I really have a terrible voice.
Which one?
I don't remember which one it was.
You don't remember? Was it like
I listened to part of the Shane Flora
Okay,
one.
I was about to say, I figured it was that one.
But part of it is like I put this thing out there that said I want to be a broadcaster.
He did.
Like I want to broadcast football games. I want to be the color guy. Anybody interested in it? Nobody.
It's only been 2 weeks.
And so I'm thinking, do I sound like Pee Wee Herman or something?
Not at all.
Do I not have a voice that would be like somebody would want to listen to it? So I thought I'm going to go back and listen to sound like Pee Wee Herman.
Maybe they just have called you and you haven't answered.
No.
Are you sure?
Or maybe I sound like Pee Wee Herman.
I don't think you do at all.
No. So anyway, we're in the process of switching spaces.
Yeah.
So that's what I was getting to.
Yeah.
So we're switching spaces. Things are growing. One of the things you ought to do, if you listen to the podcast sometime and you're a fan of ours, you should actually get a hold of Nick and have him bring you into his new media room.
Yeah.
Because, people that don't see this, it's
like a tour.
It's like seriously impressive.
I've always wanted to be a Hollywood
Don't you
tour
think?
person.
I think so. Oh,
yeah.
I can't wait for this to be done.
Oh, it's like huge.
No, that's my point. Like, I don't think anybody has an idea of what goes on behind the scenes.
No.
To make everything
cool.
happen. That's my point is that like nobody knows except the behind the scenes people, on what it really looks like. But we're changing and we're going to a new setup. So we got this new table.
Yes.
Which really isn't a table. It's a door.
Yes, it's a door.
Right? That Jenny made into a table?
No, I didn't. Heck no. Nick did this.
Wow.
Yeah, and I don't even know what these legs are, but he did an amazing.
Piping.
Oh. See?
Like, that's seriously impressive.
I know.
Yeah, and I don't know.
Use what you have.
No, I know, but
Did
we
we
were
have
talking about
these?
how we were going to redo the door.
We did have them.
Right? So we're going to redo this door. How are you going to redo the door,
who's
Jenny?
our guest today?
Go ahead. Why don't you go ahead and introduce him?
Yeah, because we always do that. This is Dan Smelser.
What,
and
we get in
Dan
these long
Smelser-
conversations without Dan?
No, remember you said we were going to start off and we were going to introduce our guest immediately.
I know. Go ahead.
Dan is the OG of the church, I just found out.
What's OG stand for?
I've said this one time and you asked me before.
Okay, say it.
It is original gangster.
That's right.
Wow, he's one of the original gangsters of the church.
He even knew that. The OG at Life Church.
Meaning
he's been here for 16 years.
That's a long time.
That is a long time.
Yeah, I said we were talking before we started the podcast that we started in 04, Halloween of 04, which you look back on it now. What church has their first service on Halloween?
I know.
Out of all the times to plan,
hey,
let's pick this, but we had these like lead up services. So we had like pre-grand openings, where people could come and try the church 3 weeks beforehand, and then we had our actual.
So why don't you count those?
Huh?
Why don't you count those?
Because they weren't really open to the public.
But
because
they were churches.
When we did it, the funny thing is, the billboard out by Kroger.
How was it? Did you have one?
Oh yeah, the whole billboard was
Really?
up there, and it was Isaac when he was a little kid,
Aww.
and he had a little thing of peas.
Why?
I'll have to go get the flyer. I don't even remember what it says, but it was the whole. We had like billboards everywhere. We sent out flyers to everybody, and
that's impressive.
I'll have to get one of the original. Maybe when we come up on one of our anniversaries, we'll put it up on the podcast 100. Of like 100. Mm-hmm. I will be dead.
We're halfway through.
No, I thought you meant 100 years of the church.
No.
I'm saying the anniversary of the church being 100 years old. You guys can celebrate without me.
Okay, sounds good. We'll do 20. How about 20?
20 years?
We're coming up on that.
We are?
Yeah, 2 more years.
2004.
2.5.
Okay, we'll get there. But anyway, Dan's here from the beginning. And maybe, Dan, before we get into whole Jenny's, how she's going to redo our table, how did you end up at Life Church? Did you get a flyer?
Actually, I think we were because we had just moved back here, and I think it was like January, February of that year. So we were just kind of church shopping, and we have my parents' church at Salvation Army.
Right.
So one day we were going there, and we drove past, and we just saw Life Church. We said, well, we'll try this church out next week. So we came at Easter for service, and then never looked back.
Never left.
And
never
because
left.
Dan, I'll never forget this. Dan was a Willow Creek guy.
Yep.
What's Willow Creek?
What?
Yeah, what's Willow Creek? Wow. Sorry, I offended you
No, I'm
guys.
serious. Like anybody that's been in the church world knows Willow Creek.
Okay, well,
because
I don't.
Willow Creek was essentially the next to Saddleback. So Saddleback and Willow Creek were somewhat of the founders of the non-denominational church movement. So, although Saddleback was somewhat of a Baptist, but really, Rick Warren and
is Rick Warren?
Bill Hybels.
Yes.
Yeah, Rick Warren and Bill Hybels. So Rick Warren was at Saddleback, Bill Hybels.
Okay, I was about to say.
Which, again, it's a funny trajectory, right? Because Saddleback's still great, still going, still doing a lot of amazing things. Rick Warren's had some ups and downs, lost his kid to suicide.
Wow.
But Bill Hybels had a massive fall.
Yep.
So you know how we were talking about the guy from Hillsong?
Yeah.
That's Brian Houston. So find out Bill Hybels from Willow Creek, which again is somewhat amazing because Willow Creek did start this huge movement of churches that were planning everywhere. They were giving away resources. Like any church that was getting started would go to a Willow Creek conference. I forget what the Willow Creek conference was called.
Leadership Summit.
Leadership Summit. Like, it's a huge deal. Like, Bill Hybels was a big deal. Found out later on that he was having an affair with his secretary for how long? Years.
Yeah, like 7 or 8 years.
Yeah, a
like
long time. And the elder team knew about it.
They knew about it?
Yeah, they
That's
knew
so
about
terrible.
the affair. They still let him be in leadership.
Yeah.
Wow.
Anyway, that was a pretty big blow.
Yep.
Where were you living at?
That's in the Chicago area.
Yeah. That's where Willow Creek's from.
Yeah.
So you just don't hear that much. Like when you're from a church plant and then somebody comes to Huntington, it's not like, oh yeah, I came from Willow Creek.
Right.
So I'm thinking Dan's like this superstar. The guy was in, the worship leader at Willow Creek just showed up at Life Church.
That's right.
Dan
How long
Smelser.
were you there for?
Willow Creek, we're probably there 4 years or so.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and why were you in Chicago?
Well,
I guess I don't even remember.
My parents were Salvation Army officers, so they got moved around like pretty much every 3 or 4 years, and that's where I ended up my high school years. So then that's where I met my wife. And then, so I went to college over there. And then we stayed there after we got married for a while.
Do you know how that works, the Salvation Army thing?
No.
I don't either.
I didn't even know we had one in Huntington for the longest time.
No, I know,
they're
but
called officers.
Yeah, so what does it really mean?
What does
How
it mean?
does it work?
Well, they go through this officers training school, which is basically like a seminary.
Okay.
So they learn how to preach and how to like run a business, because it's also business.
Right.
So then when they're done with it, they get appointed to a town that has a Salvation Army,
and then they go
there, run it, and then like every few years of they move people around. Unless they're doing really, really well, then they'll keep them there. But then they just kind of like.
So like every 4 years, you guys were moving?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Wow, it's like military.
I think I've moved like 11 times in my life.
Oh, Judas.
Wow. What was your favorite place?
Probably Indianapolis.
What?
I love Indy.
I love Indy.
Even
yeah.
out of
Really?
Chicago?
Chicago's too busy.
Okay, were you living in the
we're in
rural
suburbs.
area?
No, we're up in the northwest suburb area.
Okay.
It's just crazy.
Gosh, I'd want to be right on the main downtown area.
No,
Of where?
Chicago.
No, you don't.
No, you don't.
Yes,
you
I
don't.
do.
Bree and Isaac just went with their mom to Chicago, and so they were in a hotel. I forget what
terrifying.
they were. Somebody got shot.
Yeah.
Shot. And that's really where you want to live.
Oh, wait, they saw it?
No, but it was like they heard the gunshots, and Bree's mom's like, oh, great fireworks. Oh, my And Bree and Isaac were like, I don't think those are fireworks. It sounds like gunshots. She's like, oh, no, I think they have fireworks down the street. Anyway, it comes on the news, or maybe they heard sirens. I don't remember the whole story, but sirens came. But then on the news the next morning, it was somebody gets shot outside of this hotel. And this wasn't even like a bad part of town.
Yeah.
And that's where you want to live.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. It'd just be exciting.
It's a great place to visit, but you don't want to live
I mean,
there.
like,
Trust me.
I don't want it to be like shot or anything, but like just to be able to walk everywhere, that'd be cool.
no crap, right? Like, yeah, I don't want shot or anything. Like, who does?
Hey, you can get shot out here going to the wrong person's property, so
that's
different.
true.
You know?
Why that happened?
No, I'm just saying. I'm sure it could.
Nowadays,
Nowadays, people are pretty.
No, what is what is your attraction to the big city?
Yeah. Because I would like for everything to be open 24/7. You'd be able to walk anywhere. You would be able to. There's so many dog parks, so many people. You would never be bored. You just. So
but are things open 24/7 in Chicago now? I don't think they are.
Well, actually, I don't know.
The pandemic has ruined everything.
That's true. That is true.
Seriously, like you can't, especially in Huntington. Like after 11 o'clock,
you can't get anything.
Dead. It's completely dead.
Really?
Yeah.
Like, was stuff open past 11? I don't know what happens after 9.
Yeah.
No, there were places open until...
There's a nightlife past 9 o'clock in Huntington?
Not really.
Not anymore.
Oh,
no.
There was before?
Walmart parking lot. I swear.
I mean, like Taco Bell used to be open
Taco
late.
Bell.
Wendy's used to be open till like 1.
Yes.
Like
none of that happens anymore?
Oh my gosh, Taco Bell used to be the hangout.
Oh, yeah.
No, you said Walmart. So Walmart, Taco Bell.
Well, I never went to Walmart, but I went to Taco Bell.
Yeah, so anyway, that's kind of, we got off the subject just a little bit. Sometimes you get a sidetracked.
I know,
because it's always interesting to know why you would want to live in certain places.
or do
why.
Certain things.
Oh, I know what I was listening back on. So we were listening back on, and I actually laughed out loud.
You did?
Yeah, when we were talking about the whole gardening, like you didn't have any idea that fertilizer goes into a garden. And then you start saying, well, I went into a garden. Well, for a day at the jail.
It was a day. It was a day, and it was a great day.
And you know what the funniest parts are?
I got my picture of my butt in the newspaper because they were taking pictures, and my mom was like, "I saw you."
The thing that I laughed the most when I was listening to the podcast, there's nothing better than hear Nick bust out laughing in the background.
I
know, because I'm like,
so cute.
He laughs, I'm laughing, I'm like, this is hilarious, because he's in the background doing it.
I know.
Yeah, it's good.
I love it.
So anyway, back to the Salvation Army thing. They move you around every 4 years. Do you get paid?
Yeah, they get paid. They get their housing paid, their vehicles paid.
Okay.
Insurance. And then they get like a stipend for, just like everyday living.
Okay.
That.
So you move into these cities, they set you up, and essentially you run the church. Because I'm trying to decide, this is terrible that I don't know this. No. Is Salvation Army a church?
Yeah.
It is.
It is.
So like people come to church.
Yes. Yeah, it's a church. It was a church first. That's how it started.
Yeah, maybe you should give us like the Salvation Army background. I thought the Salvation Army... It was started
by this guy named William Booth.
Yeah, I knew that, but I thought he started it as like a place to give away food.
Yes.
No.
Donations.
He started going to bars. And he would
evangelism there?
Evangelize there, get people, and he'd bring them to a place, and he'd have church.
Okay.
And then it kind of evolved into the whole helping people with food, but it was started first as a church.
So why did it get the name of the Salvation Army?
Yeah.
Was it like this whole idea of raising up an army of people to be able to go out and...
Good one. Good thinking.
Yeah. So, and not to make this sound bad, but are Salvation Army churches thriving, or are they more on the food and clothing end now?
See, nowadays it's probably more towards the food and clothing. Like most of the churches I know, even the church I went to in Chicago before Willow, it was Salvation Army. It was pretty good size, but now that I've gone back, it's kind of dwindled down in size, and people just aren't.
And I wonder if that's just because people don't know that it's a church. Like, I wouldn't have never known that.
I wouldn't have either.
Which is terrible. How I did not know that. I knew it was a Salvation Army basketball, and I knew there was a place, Salvation Army give away food and clothes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, I didn't know really that. Because the guy, when he comes out in Salvation Army, he's like in an army dress.
Yeah, the uniforms.
He is?
Yeah, like he has a hat.
Really?
Like, he looks really cool.
Is that why they call them officers?
Yep.
I mean, he looks like he's really in the army.
And if you become a member of the church, you're called a soldier.
Ooh, that's cool.
So I was a soldier for years.
Aw.
You know, I mean, again, that's back to this whole, like, here's the funny thing. So, you know how we were talking on previous podcasts of, like, how something starts and then it dwindles away?
Yeah.
And anybody that's listening to part of Salvation Army, I'm not saying it's dwindling away, but you think about what he started and the idea behind it and how these officers as leaders were going to raise up armies of soldiers and going to go out and reach people for Jesus, and part of reaching people for Jesus is helping in their everyday needs, and then how that over time, not that it's changed completely, like maybe that mindset's still there, but it's not as prevalent, right? Like, what happens? You know what I mean? What happens in the course of the history of organization and churches because it is just like you sit here and talk about it, it's like really cool.
I know. I had no
idea.
idea.
I think a lot of it has to do too with like they can't get people to become officers now.
Really?
Wow.
I think it's because of the generational thing. Just the way that people have been raised. They don't want to commit to commitment's big. I've noticed that, the younger generations, the commitment's just not there. So they don't want to commit to being a officer, and doing all this stuff. So then if they don't have the officers, then they're going to start closing, they call it corps. They're called Salvation Army Corps.
Corps?
That's what the building?
The one over here. Yeah, it's called a corps.
Wow.
But they also have other kind of buildings too. Like some of the bigger, like South Bend, they have what they call a Croc Center.
A what?
It's called a Croc. It's community.
Oh, it stands
for something, but it's basically a big community center and church. So they have like a pool and gym and
what?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Where's that at?
KR. There's one in South Bend. There's
really
one in Chicago area. Yeah, but they're in like the bigger metropolitan areas.
Wow. Are your parents still there?
No, they retired. That's where they retired.
Are they going to church there though?
Yeah, they go to church.
Okay.
There. Yeah, my dad's still.
Yeah, they were officers. You can't leave your church when you're an officer.
Never know.
No,
huh?
they're still helping.
And again, like I said, I don't know how it's working with Salvation Army today, but I'm just basing it on the size of their building, and it wouldn't seem like they're growing from the standpoint of, and I'm not saying it in a bad way. I'm just saying hey, I just wonder what gets lost and all that, because part of our conversation before was there's plenty of people to reach, and so how in the original approach that Booth had obviously worked,
right?
You know what I mean? Because it was working, and Salvation Armies are everywhere, but you don't tend to see them as a hub of
churches,
or just of like unchurched people going other than for food,
right,
or other than for
I
think it's food and clothes,
food and clothes, and because they have the thrift stores,
right? That's what I knew it for.
Thrift stores,
Are they? Did he start the ones in other countries too?
Well, he's from England. He started in London.
That's right. I saw the show and it was in England.
He started.
Was it really?
Yeah, because they had
Salvation Army started. That's where the international headquarters
like
is.
Like the 70s, right?
Really?
Huh?
It was like the 70s,
no.
wasn't it?
No, it was way before that.
Like
way
early
before
1900s.
that.
Oh.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying I'm saying maybe it got transferred over into here at some point later on. But yeah, I mean, Salvation Army's been around for a long time.
Yeah, over 100 years.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is cool.
Yeah.
I mean, again, neat to learn about that because I didn't know anything about it. So before we go on, so let's just make sure everybody understands back to Dan is the OG. So to get to know a little bit more about Dan. So Dan, tell us a little bit about what do you do at Life Church, a little bit about your life, what are your loves? Because you have multiple roles at Life Church over the past however many years. So.
Yeah, well, I started out on worship team actually, singing on stage. I did that for...
I forgot all about that.
I had no idea until the whatever we went to,
the
conference. Yeah.
That was a long time ago. I forgot about that.
Yeah, because I think I went when Luke and Faith were leading. Yeah, that's when I got on the worship team. So
right.
I've gone through 6 worship leaders now.
Wow.
7, something like that.
Oh my gosh.
That's how long I've been here. Okay.
Wow.
Well, Michelle was here for 10 years.
Oh, that's.
So I mean, before that, the turnover was a lot higher before her.
Wow.
But
the worship leader position in the beginning was
like every year and a half. It was like a new person.
We would be changing people.
Wow.
Yeah. But anyways, so I started out that. Then I started helping Mike with youth.
He was one of my volunteers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when we did youth ministry together.
I bet you were fun in youth.
Then I looked back, my kids were little, and Dan, like, when you take Dan on a trip, Dan, like, thrives.
I know. I noticed that at the concert.
So, like, when we were out, we would go to Tennessee. We've taken the kids to multiple different places. And then Dan's out with my kids out in a parking lot in Tennessee throwing the football. And, just great relational, guys with kids. So.
Yeah, and then I took a break from that. Until Hillary reined me back in because she needed help with junior high kids. Well, because she needed help with junior high. And I was like... I don't know, because I was more of the high school. Like,
Yeah.
The kids that can actually talk back to you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Instead of throwing spitballs at you.
Yes.
But it was fine, so she got me back in it. But then also, when we were switching over to Nichelle, we didn't have a sound guy. So was the 509 guys that helped us move over, I believe. I don't remember. Whoever it was, anyways, they had a guy that trained both me and Gage to do the sound to help when Nichelle came back in. So then ever since then, I've just been on the sound.
Wow.
Yeah, I can't remember that. It's like part of that transition because for a while in between worship leaders, the 509 came down and led worship.
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, because we didn't have anybody.
Yeah. I don't remember how that all happened.
I know.
I think Andy quit all of a sudden. And
It could have been.
I think that's what it was. And then we didn't have anybody. You were
Right.
looking for somebody. So.
Right. And so we've always said, like, through that transitions, we try our best to raise up people from within.
Yeah.
You know, instead of it being like hiring. So at that point, I was like, is there anybody we just bring in that will just lead worship for a while? But maybe that was the case.
Yeah, I think
it's when they left and it came in. So so that's when you got into sound.
Yep, and that's where I've been for the last 10 years.
Now you're on Nick's team.
I'm on Nick's team.
Yeah.
Yep.
Never left.
And then helping out with you still. So.
Yeah, and the thing about the sound part too is that it's, when people say, "Well, it's just sound," but let's put in a plug. By the way,
just sound.
So anybody that wants to come, get trained, be a part of, I think it's something we don't talk about enough.
No.
You know, at the church, of the need for people to come and be a part of the tech at Life Church, because this is what I don't think people realize is that because of the sound, because of the lighting, because of the video, because of everything that happens in this room, there's lots of people whose lives are being changed.
Oh yeah.
You know, and I don't think people remember that. Like, I don't think people know to the depths of how far this podcast goes, how far online church goes. You know what I mean? Like, this goes way out, and it can only get done because people work behind the scenes. You know, and a lot of people are afraid of it, I think.
You think so?
Well, yeah. They look at. I saw a guy the other day came by, was talking to me, saw the board. He's like, "That's scary looking."
Yeah, that's
board.
What I mean.
What board?
Well, the soundboard.
The soundboard.
Oh,
he's like, that's a lot of buttons and everything. I'm like, yeah, it looks intimidating. It's really not. Once you learn it, it's
right. Or I mean, again, seriously, walk into this room.
Yeah,
that's true.
And you're going to be like, oh yeah, that would be a place I could fit in.
Yeah.
You know, and I just think people miss the idea that we got great trainers and great leaders that can break it down. And because, like I said, you know, we say this all the time. Like, you should be out trying to reach people, right? So, and you should be out trying to be a part of reaching people. But I think people miss how much the behind the scenes things that happen here, the video, the podcast, what happens on Sunday morning, the telling of stories, like the technical end of what makes it possible, how that's a part of reaching people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because, like, if you look at what a Sunday morning is, we always say this, is like, we need to make it with the least amount of distractions possible so the Holy Spirit can work. Because every time a distraction comes in, video doesn't work, lights go out, something happens, you know, you notice and you get distracted, but you don't know how much work it takes for it not to happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How much it takes for the sound to be good, how much time and effort is put into that, and how that makes it possible for us to reach people, right? So it's a big team coming together. And so, like, if you're out there and you want to be a part of something bigger, you know, than just, you know, what you're doing today or greeting, you need to get involved, you know, and at the end you could even text to the podcast. You don't even have to worry about, you know, signing up or whatever. Like, you could come on and be a part of it, because again, once you see what happens behind the scenes, I think you'll be amazed how big the reach of what tech gives us the ability to do here at Life Church. So involved in tech, a lot of great things happening there, also involved in youth. And again, Dan's kind of been that way forever. Dan's somewhat of a servant, you know, same with Janelle, and you know, they jump in, they help whenever they can, and, you know, put it in every possible way. So with that, okay, so we just got to get back to, because we got to get back to the door just
we
real
don't
quick.
have to.
No, we do.
No, we do.
We got to get back to the door so that we all know how this door is going to look, because we're all really excited about it.
I bet you are.
No, I know. So we're all excited about how we're going to turn a door into a table.
You just wait and watch.
Listen,
it's going to happen.
Jenny.
What?
I'm believing in you.
Okay.
So I'm bringing the audience in.
Okay.
So for you audience that are listening, you need to watch, because there's going to be a transformation of this table.
Transformation.
And
of the
we
door.
want you to tell us about it.
Okay.
Tell us how we're going to transfer this table.
Well, first
or
of
this
all,
door.
This door. So the door is a table, and it has, I don't know what type of wood on the top of it, but I'm going to figure out how to shellac it. So first I'm going to paint it. I'm going to paint.
Okay, wait.
I'm going to paint this door.
Okay, you're going to paint it.
I'm going to paint this door.
Paint the door.
And then I'm going to shellac it.
Shellac it.
And then I'm going to stain it.
What's shellacking?
I don't know. I think it means it's like a primer. So maybe I should do that first before painting. I can't remember which one happens. But that's okay. You just go on Google and it tells you again, no matter how much you forget. All I need to know is that I have the tools to do it.
This is what everybody loves about you.
Well,
let me see. I'm going to paint it, and then I'm going to shellac it. Well, primer, then stain.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I'm not in the process
But it really
yet.
doesn't matter because I don't need to know, because I don't need to ask.
It's just like cooking.
I have Google.
Yeah. Yes, that's what everybody should get from this.
You know what you should get
Google
from it?
saves lives.
No, you know what you should? Like this should be the new movement, Jenny. So think about this.
The door movement?
No.
Like, I was thinking to make it something like, I don't know.
No, you know what you need to do? So
What?
So you know why people don't have relationships with people anymore?
Why?
Google.
No, and not just Google.
Jenny.
Why? Because they don't ask people?
Listen to me. You know what you could do with a team of people that could come in here and work together?
And
Somebody
help
knows
me.
how to do it, and you could work together, and you could build a relationship, and at the end of the day, you did it as a team instead of you and Google.
That's true.
Right?
Right, you're right.
But why don't people do it?
I don't know.
Huh?
I guess I don't know.
Yes,
well, some
you
people
do.
don't like to ask for help.
So you think that's really the reason?
I don't know. That's my reason.
Okay. Do you think it's the same thing? That's why people don't ask?
Some people probably that way, but other people just they don't.
It's easier.
I'm just referring to myself.
they just
It's
don't wanna-
easier.
I don't like to ask people
It's
for help.
easier.
No, I don't like to ask
Do you
people for
believe
help.
this, Jenny?
What?
Do you believe that?
No. I don't believe that.
I didn't say anything yet. I didn't say
You were
it
going to
yet.
say, is it easier to not ask people?
No.
Well, I say no.
That's not what I was going to
What were you
say.
gonna ask?
No, I'm like saying, like, if you just had a group of people, let's say
Okay.
2 or 3 people that you want to invest into.
Okay.
And you brought them in on this project. Would that be good or bad?
Well, that would be good.
Good. So
Yes.
in our life is all about
relationships.
an investment.
Yeah.
So the reason that you don't want to bring people in is because you'd rather invest into Google than people.
No, I didn't say that. I said I didn't want to bring people in because I didn't want to ask them for help.
Yeah.
But
if you
it
realize,
would be easier with a bunch of people.
well, and you would realize that it would be more impactful.
Yeah, and it would
So
be
that
more
everybody
fun.
that would watch this, they could actually put their name in it.
But hey, I helped make that table.
You know what you
Before
should
I
do?
paint
No,
it?
no, wait. You know what you should do?
What?
You should make this door so that every guest that comes on signs it. And so it could be a long list of
be like that.
years, and then it could be like after this is all
we should
said
get a
and
new
done,
door.
you could. Well, I mean, you just think of the history of
That's
the people that would
cool.
write their name and the date that they were here, and
That's
maybe
cool.
a little note.
'Kay.
And they could sign it and put it on. Would that not be cool?
No, yeah, that's like what
It's like Gino's East place
What?
Gino's East place in Chicago.
they do that.
Okay.
Yeah, like their tables and walls, they let you like write your name on there that you were
Seriously?
here.
Yeah, I've been to places
Pretty
like
cool.
that,
Yeah, it's
coffee
pretty
shops.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, or maybe we make one of our walls that's stuff that we can write on too.
We could do that too.
I'm just all in. I just think it's cool when it's
That would
personal.
be.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's neat that you can sit out on a table, and if let's say you were a guest and you see somebody's name or
Right.
a little note written up there somewhere, and
It wasn't that bad. How many times do I have to tell people that?
Well, no, I think what the same thing everybody says is like we'll get to 45 minutes in an hour, and they'll be like, "What? It went
Yeah.
that quick?" Because they're worried. Like, what are you going to talk about for 45 minutes?
Yeah,
to an
everybody's
hour?
worried.
Yeah. So anyway, Jenny's going to come up
ideas.
with a cool idea. She's
got
going to
it.
bring a team of people together
No.
because she loves relationships and working with people. And her and Nick, who are the brains behind the RoundTable, and future podcasts that we're going to be coming out with. That's going to be happening.
Yep.
Yeah.
Can't
So
wait.
be looking.
Be ready.
Yeah, be ready because there's some cool stuff. coming.
Yeah.
So anyway, you guys are going to come up with an idea of how we can not only transform this door into a table, but how to make it so that it's personable, memorable, people can write on it, whatever you guys decide. And then each week, the people can be watching this process happen. That good?
Oh, like I'll record it while I'm doing it?
No, I'm just saying like people that watch
They'll-
the
they'll
podcast
see
each week,
how
you're
it's
going to be able to
evolving.
see
Got you.
everything evolve.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so we'll see how far we are in 2 weeks from now.
Well, no, not 2 weeks because
Yeah, because remember, we're pre-recording this. Did we say that?
Oh,
Yes.
2 weeks from now. Yes, I can do 2 weeks.
We
from
did
now.
say we're pre-recording it?
I don't think so.
don't-
No, we
Either
said
way,
it
we're
before.
pre-recording it because Jenny is going to be wheeling around Disney World in a wheelchair.
Yeah, I am.
Right?
I am.
And because...
Well, hopefully not.
Well, you might
Because-
be, though, because...
Okay, so today
who's
is
going to be wheeling you
1,
around?
2, 3, 4. 4 days till the half marathon. I don't know, whoever wants to.
The mini in Indy.
Yes. Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not a full marathon?
No, it's a half.
Oh, so you're going to be doing the...
Are you going to be there?
Well...
I was going to ask you that. I was thinking that last
Well,
night,
we were
actually.
talking about it because Lexi and Steven are.
That's
gonna
what
go.
I'm
so
saying.
I said to Sarah, the girl I'm dating, I said, well, let's just go to Indy for go down there, watch it, hang out in Indy for a while, and then come back. And I don't know.
You're not going to do it?
I don't know.
Why? That's your daughter. You should be there.
Okay, wait a second.
She
She
there for her.
has never done a half marathon.
Wait a second.
And to me, I'll be there.
You can't see anybody.
Yes,
That's
you
what I
can.
kept saying.
You have to go towards the end. Like, you need to go.
So I wait for how long does it take you to run the mini?
Well, it depends. Probably like 2.5 hours.
Okay, so for 2.5 hours, I sit at the finish line to say, "Great job!
Yes.
Awesome!
Yes." It's the
don't know.
motivation.
Huh?
It's
I don't
the
know.
That's a
I
big
don't know.
accomplishment.
So either way, so you're going to be running the mini.
I am.
But you have a nagging injury.
Yes.
And it is.
It is on my right hip.
Yeah. So the
It's a
possibility.
femoral
So you're going to be
neck
leaving from
fracture.
Huh?
It's a femoral neck fracture, and it's rare. It's like in less than I think 2%.
And it's so
athletes.
rare you had it in your other.
Right, I've had it
hip.
2 times, and
Yeah.
it's only old
You're
people.
like Bo Jackson.
I know. I should get an award for that.
Do you know who Bo Jackson is?
No.
One of the greatest athlete of all time.
Yeah, that had a massive
Oh,
hip injury.
Did he?
That essentially ended his career.
Yep.
Yeah, I can't remember if it was a
That's
femoral
that's
chip
inspiring.
injury.
He was a football player and baseball player. Hey.
Right to tell me before that. Thanks.
Yeah, you need to look up Bo Jackson.
Okay.
But his was that his quads were so strong that when he planted, that it essentially ripped his complete hip out of socket. Somewhere like that, right, Dan?
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
I mean, it was like a massive thing.
Yeah, it was
ended
pretty
his
bad.
career.
Yeah.
essentially.
Wow.
But it was because he was such a strong legs that somebody was tackling him and he like pushed off or something and it like
The irony in that.
yeah. just like you.
Yeah. I guess.
Right?
Right.
So anyway, so you're going to run to Indy.
Yes.
Then you're going to Disney World.
Then-
so we're going
yes,
to miss you
the
next
next
week.
day.
So we're pre-taping to be able to make it so Jenny could be in Indy.
Yes.
So either way, over the next 2, 3, 4 weeks, you'll see the evolution of our
Okay.
of our table.
Okay.
Right. So everybody
Yeah.
can be looking for it.
I can do
Or
that.
you could go on and tell us what you think of those ideas on our YouTube. Like people that are
like-
watching this,
like do a short
they'll be
or
like,
something?
That's a great idea. Like go ahead and make
do
it
shorts?
so the table that you can write things on and.
Wait, you mean like comments?
Yeah, they can comment on there.
Oh, okay. I see
on
what
our
you're
YouTube.
saying.
When this
Yes.
goes out and they know that
Okay.
we're talking about the table being transformed.
The door.
Or the wall, whatever it looks like.
Give us ideas.
Maybe they could give us ideas. Maybe we could be like the pizza joint.
Oh
There
my
you
gosh,
go.
maybe
Yeah.
we could do a contest with the ideas.
A contest
Whoever's we
with
like the
ideas?
most, then they get.
What do they win? Because
Well, we have a
we're
$10
already out
gift.
of we're already
No.
out of tumblers. so I
no,
mean that
they
was
should
supposed to
be
be
here.
everybody's gift, but you don't get one anymore.
I have a gift for them.
Huh?
I have a gift.
Did you give
for them.
Dan his gift?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway,
Anyways.
so be thinking about that part of it. But
Okay.
anyway, so you're running the Indy. You're going to be gone. We're pre-taping this. Okay, so let's keep moving, right? So let's talk again. So Dan, current event stuff. That's one of the things we always talk about. We talked about in our previous episode with the leak with that came out of the Supreme Court that looks like Roe versus Wade might be overturned. And what's funny?
What?
I talked to some people about the whole Amazon thing. Did you hear me talk about this? So, and again, I read it. I haven't heard it again, so it might be false news, but that's okay.
It is false news now?
I know. I don't. Again, I read it on Apple News. Like it came out of something that was legitimate.
Oh.
Them saying that if this does happen in a state, then ends up making it illegal, they'll pay for you to go to a state that's legal. To
Wow.
be able to get it done. So I was asking people this question because we've always had this like, what would it take you to change your buying decisions, to change? So Amazon has essentially made it almost impossible, right,
Yeah.
to not buy from
Yeah.
them.
Yes.
Yeah. Pretty
Because
much.
of the convenience of it.
Yeah.
So I was talking to people and I'm like, what would it be like? So would you think of it this way? So every shirt you buy funds a baby getting killed. Are you still going to do it?
Yeah, that's
You
crazy.
know what the
Yeah, I
answer
know.
is?
Yeah.
You know what the answer is?
What?
No.
What do you think people's answers
Yes.
are?
No.
Yes.
They said yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, they would.
When
They'd
when
rather
it's
have the
that
convenience.
The
direct-
convenience.
Yeah.
Think about it. Like,
Yeah.
are you going to stop shopping on Amazon?
I mean, I have thought about it. Yeah.
Are you going to stop shopping?
I have
on
thought about it, but have they came up with that decision yet?
If they do, are you making a statement on the podcast number 51 Roundtable that
Yes.
Jenny will?
Yes.
Seriously?
Yeah, it'll be good for my money too. My bank account. But no, seriously, yeah.
I think that's impressive if you do.
It is-
Because I
well-
think everybody that I talk to is like this. How do you stop?
It's going around everywhere, this whole like abortion thing, and it's annoying me on Facebook.
Why? Well, I don't, because I'm not on social media. What's going around?
So, I mean, just essentially, like, especially
people arguing
women.
about it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like,
people
women
arguing about it.
are like, well, what if Karen got raped? And then what about her baby? And what if Susan, I can't remember, like, found out that her baby was or I don't know, just something like.
Found out her baby was what?
Not premature, but like had a disability or something. And it just goes on and on about what could happen if they wanted to in the baby's life,
right?
And basically just justifying it. And
well, I mean, that's a great question. So because I don't follow any of this, so this will be interesting to me. So if you did an ultrasound and you found out your baby was going to be handicapped,
right?
What they're saying is, and I'm asking this,
yes,
it's better to kill it.
That's what they're saying.
That's what, because there were so many of them and like that. Yeah.
Like, seriously?
No, seriously. And some of them
like there was just going to be handicapped.
What if what if Susan, or I'm going to say Susan again, was like super young, 16,
okay,
and she didn't have money or something. What about then? Are you going to, can't remember what it was, but basically it was like giving excuses.
Well, I know, but so for like the same, again, I'm just playing this out, so I'm asking these questions because I've never really got into it. Yeah. So for all the people out there today that can't have babies, so we're saying Susan would not see it as an opportunity to give somebody a child?
Exactly.
No,
and they would rather kill it?
They're selfishly thinking themselves.
They'd rather kill it, and people have said that's okay?
There are arguments on...
There are arguments that people are okay with that.
I mean, it's intense.
That would be okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's crazy. I know.
Wow, like
that's one of the subjects like I don't like to talk about because I get very like heated in the way like that's just,
well, I guess
to me
it's
crazy.
Like I had heard the arguments before, like the mom might die.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I've heard those things, but I've never heard anybody really say like, oh, I guess my baby's not going to have blue eyes, so we're going to get rid of it.
Essentially,
or I guess we're not going to be handicapped, or I guess they might have a problem.
I'm not going to have enough money to raise it. So
right.
That's crazy.
But there's all these people out there that adoption agencies are waiting to take in babies.
Yeah.
Like, I guess I've never heard that before.
Oh, yeah. It's a big thing
that's
right
a big thing. So that's a big argument right now?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. And it's like hard because it's a lot of them are people that I know and people that I didn't think would like act the way that they're acting. My mom had said, it was on my cousin's page, she had said, well, has a voice for the baby? And I mean, there were like 11 people that liked what my cousin had responded to. And I know that's not a lot, but it's a lot people to love like the same, like, I don't know, I really had to control myself because you don't mess with my mom.
Yeah.
And I know that's my cousin, but still like,
right.
You don't mess with family. And like to see, I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So you wanted to get on there and comment.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Right.
Yes.
Right.
Because that's just how I am.
Yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but again, the whole lot, that was what we were talking about yesterday. Like this whole, but I thought it was interesting afterwards. I went out and asked people. So let's say it is true and big government, is doing this, and saying, or these big companies are doing it. Are we willing to boycott them? And essentially people's answer were, it's impossible to do.
Wow.
Because look at everything that I get from Amazon.
Right. But that's just so scary because everything that you have said in the sermons, like to me, it just lines up. Like all I can see is like when you're speaking, I see what's happening.
Right.
And we are completely going against everything that is being said in the Bible.
Well, I mean, this is what I said, when we were talking about it yesterday after the podcast to people. I said, so think about, the whole conditioning process. So essentially what we've conditioned people to do is to get to this place that would say, we're going to make it so that you only feel like the only place that you can get stuff from is, right? Mm-hmm. And it's essentially working, right? Because all these companies are saying, you know what, it's easier to sell on Amazon than to sell anywhere else. So we're not even going to sell in a store. We're not going to sell. You're not going to be able to go get it. So stores are giving into it.
Yep.
Right.
So pretty soon, let's say there's 3, 4, 5 things. And so I posed this question last night. So think about this. So today we're saying buy a shirt, kill a baby.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's what we're saying. Like, if you're going to buy from Amazon and Amazon's going to fund people to go get an abortion.
Exactly.
Right.
You can call it whatever you want, but that's really what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Would we agree? Like, if you're going to
Absolutely.
fund it, you're going to fund it. Right?
Yeah.
That's just the way that it works. So we make that personal decision, whatever you choose. It's not personal to you, so it doesn't matter. That's what happens with people. Like it's not. It
doesn't affect me.
It doesn't affect me today. So I really need a shirt, or I really need something. So I'm going to go ahead and do it. What happens down the road? Play it out for the revelation stuff. Let's play it out down the road and said, now your food comes from a source, and you same thing. That source isn't that good. You know, it supports bad things, but it's so much cheaper, and we're going to be able to do it. And pretty much all of our food is sold through a couple avenues, right?
Yeah.
And you've been so used to it and you can't get it done anywhere else. And all of a sudden now it comes to, all you have to do is just take the mark of the beast and you'll do it.
Right.
How many people are going to be like, you know?
A lot.
It's going to be easy because we've been doing it without a care, right? You've been buying without a conscience.
Yeah.
Yep.
So who's going to care when it comes to, that's what you were talking about, right? You're going to get to this place. You've been so conditioned to do the actions of your life without a conscience.
Right. And I mean, you're doing it so much that you are, when it comes time to take the beast, you shouldn't, like, you can't be surprised because you let it there. I feel like
you let it happen.
let it happen.
You just kept letting things happen
Like
over time.
you made it this when we could have all stood together and opposed, like, I don't know. It just infuriates me.
Right, but we're at that point, and I mean, I think that's part of the problem. I mean, part of the problem, look at what's going on in current affairs today. I mean, Christians have just come to the point where standing up for anything, you know, and you do get persecuted, but you're just like, I just want to say anything. I don't really care, and people just get mad because what kind of Christian stands up for something?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, this is the craziest thing in the world when we like, what kind of Christian stands up for something? But obviously, we should be, you know, when it comes to that. But something for all of us to process. We talked about that current events yesterday. Maybe on a lighter note, current events, the thing that Dan loves, right?
It is a good one.
Not that Dan doesn't love the whole discussion about, but we were having this discussion before about, something we can move on to, the NBA playoffs. Because here's the thing about Dan.
Wait, the NBA?
If you want to know anything about sports, talk to Dan. Is that true? Yeah, I mean, like, you're in on about everything. Yeah, so you're a Colts fan?
Colts fan.
Unfortunately.
You know.
Are you wearing Colts?
Yeah.
Did they have a good draft?
Yeah, really good draft. Got a wide receiver, some tight ends, got some weapons from Mr. Matt Ryan, who's going to tear it up this year. So.
You guys just keep getting old decrepit quarterbacks.
Hey, Phillip Rivers did good.
Hey, weapons as in guns.
The young guy wasn't very good. We had to get him out of there.
Like weapons as in guns, like their arm?
No.
Oh.
In NFL weapons.
What do you mean?
The Colts got some new weapons.
Some
M16s and some.
Yes. No, I mean like your guns. You know how people joke about your guns being.
Right. No,
that's what I thought you meant.
Call like the wide receivers, running back, like things that help you score.
Help you
score.
Yeah,
weapons.
Their guns do too, though.
Yeah. No, they probably do got some.
Welcome to the gun show.
You better have some of those here for the NFL.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's right. So the Colts had a good draft.
They had a good draft.
Right. So who do you root for in college?
IU.
Yeah.
IU
basketball.
IU basketball.
IU football.
IU football. Also Notre Dame football. Both.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not like a huge one of those huge Notre Dame guys, but you know, because when growing up in Indiana, all that was on TV was Notre Dame football and IU basketball.
Did you ever go up and worship Touchdown Jesus?
I've actually never been to the stadium. I know. It's crazy.
Have you ever seen Touchdown Jesus?
Where?
It's at Notre Dame Stadium.
No.
At the end zone.
Yeah,
like this.
The end zone. That's why they call him Touchdown Jesus.
Seen the outside of it.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, and so in the NBA, that's what's going on right now. So who are you rooting for?
The Warriors, Steph Curry.
Yeah.
You know.
Not me.
No, who are you rooting for?
Nobody, really. Oh, wait, that's not true.
Okay.
So the Milwaukee Bucks, because of the guy that I read the book on, I can't say his name now. The guy that got the NBA playoffs.
What's it start with? What letter?
He's in the MVP.
Oh, Giannis?
Yeah,
Antetokounmpo?
Yeah, Antetokounmpo.
That's the hardest name to say. That's what it's called. Yeah.
His book is one of the best books I've ever read.
Really?
Oh, his journey from when he came from Greece and the whole, like, everything that led up to it.
That's interesting.
Incredible. So if you're an Audible person, listen to it because it's a great book. And again, it just puts a perspective on, like the one I'm listening to now is about the Baylor coach.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You know, and everything that he came through. He's not Bryce Drew, but his brother.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, it makes it so much funner to watch athletics because you know the story behind it and the Baylor, because he took the job. Think about this. He took the Baylor job because one of the Baylor players took one of the other Baylor players out and murdered him.
Yeah.
In basketball.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, okay.
What?
I thought you literally meant that.
He did.
No, he
murdered
literally
him.
murdered him.
Oh, he really did?
Took him out
his fellow player.
and killed him.
Yeah.
I'm surprised I haven't seen this true crime episode. I'm shocked.
No, and then so he talks about how he took the program over then, right? And then
because he was mad about it, or what?
I don't know if they got into why, but either way, 16, 17 years later, he led him to a national championship.
Wow.
So it's kind of a cool story, and he talks about how he brought faith back into the program.
Oh, that's cool.
And made the foundation faith, and made them taught them again how every life lesson is through God, and how every step is, and so it makes you want to root for Baylor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you know what I mean.
I'm more like NBA wise. I'm more of a player fan. I used to be a big Pacers fan. Back in the 90s, Reggie Miller. And I loved watching.
When he used to go by to Spike Lee.
Oh, yeah.
That was his name, right?
Yeah, Spike Lee.
The choke.
Oh, yeah. But lately, this way the NBA is anymore, people moving around. I'm like, it's more fun just to be a fan of a player.
Yeah, so you're Steph Curry.
Steph Curry, I love him. He's a big Christian guy, too. And
is he really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he talks about his faith all the time. He's got his own shoe line that he has scripture verses.
Maybe I'll lead Draymond Green to Christ.
Draymond Green is actually a Christian as well.
Who's this?
Not on the court. I don't know if he is on the court, but off the
Green
court.
Is the guy that gets kicked out of games all the time.
Really?
Well, that's because he plays hard. He's one of those guys who, when you play real hard, you're going to get.
Yeah.
That's going to happen.
Maybe I should read that then. Draymond Green is a Christian.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Steve Kerr, the head coach, is a Christian.
Is he really?
Yeah.
There you go. Got yourself a new book.
I just like Steph Curry. He's got a YouTube channel. I watch him, and he's just normal, down to earth Christian guy, and he's amazing at basketball.
What brand of shoes?
They're Under Armour.
Interesting.
What?
Yeah, Under Armour brand.
Really?
He has his own line, but he has scripture verses on them.
Does he really?
Well, not the whole verse, but 1 Corinthians something.
Are on the shoes?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that. Have they been out for a while?
Yeah.
Wow. Do you have any?
I don't have a pair now because they're ridiculous.
They're expensive.
Yeah.
Hey, are you a person that buys a bunch of shoes?
If I could, I would. My wife does not allow me to do this.
No, but would you be the guy that would buy a pair of shoes to match your outfit?
Yeah.
Yes.
Tennis shoes,
I've
though.
seen guys like
Tennis
this.
shoes, yeah.
Yes.
There are guys that
If I was a millionaire, I'd have a closet full of shoes that
Would
match
you
everything.
really?
Oh yeah, I love shoes.
Wow.
I hate to wear them though. Is that funny though?
Yes. No, I don't think that.
'Cause I hate socks.
know guys that are like that.
I hate socks.
Oh, is that why?
Yes.
I thought it's because you didn't want to get them dirty.
No, I don't. That's the other part.
Because people get new shoes.
You buy the nice shoes, you don't want to wear them
guys.
outside because then they get dirty.
way
and
to
you gotta clean them
You don't
and-
like socks?
Oh, I hate socks.
Oh,
thing I was
I
just
hate that. My
I
cousin
hate
does
socks.
that.
Then you pull your shoes off and everybody's like, whoa.
Yes, they smell.
No, because I don't ever wear socks. They don't get my feet don't get stinky because
So
they're
they're
not
just
confined in
used to
socks
it?
all day.
That's true.
Is that
If you don't
As
wear deodorant
soon as I
for
get
a long
home,
time, that
as soon as I get home, I
Wait
take
a
my
second.
socks and shoes off.
If you don't wear deodorant for a long time,
Yeah.
what happens?
your body just gets used to it and you don't smell anymore. I swear.
That's true.
No, I saw it somewhere. I promise.
Trust me,
It
You're
wasn't
telling me-
Google.
If I'm not leaving the house,
Listen
I don't
to
have
me.
socks
It
on.
wasn't-
Listen to me. You're telling me that if I stop wearing deodorant
Yes.
and my armpits stink the first 2 or 3 days,
You have to just go.
and
No.
then,
Months. I think it's months.
okay, for the
Yeah.
first month.
You just got to get through it.
Month 2,
I don't think I can do
my
that.
Yeah.
armpits aren't going to stink.
Yeah.
Ain't
It'll
no
just
way.
be it'll just be your body. Like, I don't know how to describe it. Don't ask me.
Okay.
That's what
I mean, they
read.
didn't have deodorant back in the day. I mean,
I think it was because
No,
of
I know, and
this-
everybody
So,
stunk back
did
in the
they?
day.
Oh.
No, I think it was like the essential oil thing.
What
I don't know.
was?
Just carry on because I
Yeah,
don't think I know what I'm talking about. I think it was
It's
something
okay.
else.
So this is what makes the podcast
But I
unique.
admitted it because I knew I was wrong.
No,
But
it's
all
okay.
the other
It's good.
times, I know I'm right.
No, that's perfectly fine.
'Cause I know I'm
somebody
right
just
about
do
all
the
those.
deodorant challenge
Yeah.
and get back with Jenny and let her know how it goes.
'Kay.
Come up to her after a month and give her a big hug.
Okay.
Yeah, and we'll see how
We'll see how
the
that
deodorant
goes.
challenge is
Deodorant
going.
challenge. That would be
So
terrible.
we're getting close to the end, so we want to.
We are?
Yes. So let's talk about, Dan, perspective. So
Okay.
we've been in the Revelation series and we've been going down the road of trying to prepare. And again, in the beginning it was, these are like the churches and here's some of the things they were doing right, some things we're doing. So we're trying to figure out as a church and as people, right? How do we get it figured out? Now we've kind of transitioned, and I think it's been interesting to watch people in this transition because first it was, we're in the throne room of heaven. Kind of cool to see, you know what I mean? To think about like, oh, process heaven, process eternity. And I think for a lot of people that brought up questions. Now we're to this place where it's like, get ready, the end is coming, right? And so we're at the place in Revelation 6 where he gets ready to open up the scroll, you know, and on the scroll is the 7 seals, and the 7 seals are representative of the 7 years. So before we get into it, Dan, just as a poll, because I think we've had this poll on before.
A poll?
Yeah, the post-trib, pre-trib, or do you believe in any of the tribulation? Do you believe that you're raptured before, in the middle, or have to suffer all the way through? Or do you never thought of it?
I always thought you were before. Like, if you're raptured, Jesus is going to come take you away so you don't have to endure
any of tribulation.
Yeah.
That's where were you? Did you vote? You were like the before.
No.
So we're just saying, like, if you follow the timeline of Revelation 5 to Revelation 6, there really isn't anything that would say you're going to be gone.
Right. Doesn't he say that I won't make you suffer? That's in one of the verses.
No.
I thought it is that I won't make you suffer. I know there is.
No, listen. So
I know there is.
in Revelation 6, right? So the opening up of the seals was the start of tribulation. So we went through all of them except for the 7th one, right? So we went through the first 6, first 4, the 4th apocalypse, you know, what it's going to bring, religious persecution, and then natural calamity, right? Those are going to be the judgments on the world. But essentially, it's like, we can think about that, but why would he tell us? You know, why would it be important for us to know those things? And the big part was because you need to be ready.
Right.
Right. So you need to be ready. You need to be prepared. Then we shifted to Matthew 24, which is the Olivet Discourse. So in the Olivet Discourse, it says the same thing that it does in Revelation 6. So the Antichrist is coming. War is coming. Famine is coming. Natural calamity is coming. Religious persecution is coming. You need to be ready. Well, for a lot of people, you get to this place of you say, so what does it mean really to be ready? So how can I be ready? What do I need to be doing? So then the rest of 24 and all of 25 talks about those who were ready and those who weren't ready, you know, and what happens to those people. So let's talk first of all, and maybe Jenny, you can... Jenny, you can kick us off.
I would love to kick us off.
Kick us off. First of all, do you think people live? Because I've always thought this is interesting. Do you think people normally live with the end in mind?
No.
Right. So I brought up this week, like one of the things that was a gift is when we did know that Sherry got diagnosed with BAP1. So one of the things we knew is that we don't know how long, but no one's ever like cured this.
Yeah.
So if God doesn't do a miracle at some point, you know, her life's going to be over, right? So take advantage of your time. Live as if the end is near, right? We didn't know when that was, but it did change some of the things we did, right? I went on more vacations. I spent more time just knowing that you don't know how much time you're going to get, so we should probably live. So my question was in the beginning of the message this last week is that normal? Is that the way most people live? Do they think about the end in mind? Do you think about living as if it could be done?
Did you before that happened?
No, that was my point.
Yeah, no, I don't think people do.
Yeah, I would say naturally it took something in my life. That's what I was trying to get to.
Okay.
It took something in my life that would have said, oh, crap.
Yeah.
You know, the end is near, because you don't naturally think about, you know, what that looks like. But from that day, and I still do it to this day, when I get up and do my journal, and I've talked about this before, I'd say how many days I have left, right?
Wait, what?
So in the beginning of my journal, every heading of my journal says, I think I'm at 11,285 days left. Make the most of today.
Where did you come up with this number?
That I decided from the time that I said it till I've lived till I'm 80.
Okay.
So there's a number of days.
80 is a good goal.
Yeah, 80. So this is the number of days I have left, just as a reminder, like
that it's an end's coming. Yeah,
the end is coming, right? But the point is, so you guys, would you agree, Dan? Most people don't live that way.
I would agree with that.
Yeah. So then the question becomes: so now he's saying, now that you've read this in Matthew 24, be looking for the signs, be ready, because the end is near, right? So how is it, like, how do you translate that over into a person, or what can people do to be like, oh, I probably should be thinking about or living as if the end is near? So any maybe personal experience or something that we could help people understand or do when it comes to that?
Well, right now, everything that's going, like you just said it before, but everything that's going on right now, I don't see how no one could see the correlations between it. Like, I don't know. I just think that and I don't know if they thought this like years ago too. I mean, they've always said that it was the end of times, but I really, like, by reading it, hearing you speak it, it just sounds like everything's starting to happen.
Dan, thoughts do you have?
Well, I would just say, like, yeah, like you said, you can kind of see things happen, but you look back, things have always been happening.
Right.
But I think to be prepared for, you just need to make sure that you are yourself, first of all, in right standing with God, and that you make sure that everybody that you love at least knows about Him.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how you can prepare, because then you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. Like, I want to see this person in heaven, so I better make sure that they know. Because it's not up to us to change them, but I did my job and said, hey, I'd like to see you in heaven. So, I mean, for me, that's the way you got to prepare. It's like, I want to make sure everybody that I know and care about at least knows about Jesus, so I can hopefully see them again.
Yeah, and that's some of what it says. So in Matthew 24, one of the things he says, well, you can know you'll be ready when you know that you have the right mindset, that you're a servant, right? So he starts with, like, you're a servant and you know that you have a master, so you should be doing the master's business, right? Which is some of what you said, right? Like, definitely. The master's business is knowing that, and it starts, and that was the other thing it talked about, is like, Jenny, if you knew that somebody was coming into your house and going to break in, right, you wouldn't leave your house, right?
Right.
Unprotected.
No.
Right? So that would be what fools would do.
Right.
But that's why he uses that analogy. He's like, hey, well, you know that the thief is coming.
Yeah.
Right? You know that he's coming to destroy. You know he's coming to steal. Don't leave the house unprotected, right? And so that was the other piece that it went into. So I want to talk a little bit about that, because I used the analogy to say, so Jenny, one of the ways that you can make it so that your house is protected is to take care of yourself. Like, how do you protect yourself, right? Yeah. So give us you and then Dan both, give us some safeguards of how you could say, this is how I, through the things that I do, protect my house, meaning my spiritual life, the things that I'm supposed to do to protect me individually. What are some things that you do?
I mean, just reading the Bible and staying in connection and trying to have a deeper relationship with Him, and then being more available to hear what He wants me to do in His will, whether it's to go speak to somebody or say something or put something out somewhere. I just try to be, like, available, I guess. Yeah,
so let's talk about that for just a second. So how does a person make themselves more available? Because I've heard a lot of people say that, but in your mind, how do you make yourself more available? What's something that you would do? Just give me one thing or two things that you would do.
So for me, I'm very distracted. I think we all know that. And it's hard for me to sit somewhere or just with other stuff going on. So I have to physically, like, put myself in a scenario where everything's off, or like going on a walk. Like, sometimes I take my walks and I don't have anything with me and I just use it for time with God.
Okay. Yeah, good. Yeah, Dan, same thing. How about for you? What's one way that you can help people understand how to be better to protect their own house?
Well, for as far as like myself, is just making sure that I'm daily and constantly just thinking about like, would God be glorified in what I'm doing? Is what I'm doing, to better His kingdom, or is it to better myself?
Right.
Which, that for me, that's a big help, because, a lot of times I just go and I don't think before I do things.
Yeah.
So,
same. Yeah.
So, it's just, for me, I got to remember, okay, like, why am I doing this?
Oh, that's a good idea. Like, the thought would be, is you're saying evaluate.
Yeah.
Like, I got to evaluate today
what am I doing with my time?
Does it fit into glorifying God, right? So taking time to evaluate.
Yeah. Well, you're doing two things at once too. You're looking out for yourself and then looking out for others, because they are looking to you and seeing that.
Right, and I'm leaving myself, like, open. If, like, say, hey, someone needs hey, can you come meet with me or something? I've got that. I'm available.
Right.
So I try not to stack my schedule either. Like, that's why I don't like. I used to work 2 jobs. I quit doing that. Went on 1 job. So I'm open. If someone says, "Hey, I need you," I can go.
Yeah. So I mean, that's another good thing, is you got to, if you don't schedule in downtime, you're not going to have downtime. Right. Right. If you don't schedule in margin, you're not going to have margin. Right. Yeah. It's always going to be taken by something else. So making yourself available. Yeah. Good. So the other piece of it here at the end, we talked about protecting your house. What does it mean to protect others in your house, right? So this is your kids, this is your wife, and Jenny, for you, that's not yet. Like, you don't have that to think about. But, maybe Dan, thinking about what is the responsibility as a man, what is the responsibility as a woman when it comes to God's given us a stewardship. If you're a wife sitting out there today, the stewardship's your husband and your children. If you're a husband, it's your wife and your children. Like, what does it look like to truly guard your house, steward your kids, do the best thing possible to protect them, in that way, in your mind?
Well, for me, it's making sure that they are somehow connected to God, whether it's going to church or doing quiet. Like, I know my oldest boy doesn't like to come to church anymore, but he says he watches it online. So I make sure I question him about it. That way I know he's still right. Because you could say that he's watching it and not actually you know what I'm saying. So, but I mean, just making sure that they're somehow connected to God in some way, and then also trying to just be that example for them too, and how I do things, so that they can see that this is the way to live. Yeah. Right. So. Right. Which isn't always easy to do, but yeah. But I mean, that's how I look at it. Just making sure that they're somehow connected to God in some way, or like I know the boys serve too, so I make sure they like to do that. So that's just making sure that they're somehow, God's touching them somehow, and I make sure that they stay on that.
Any suggestions as a husband to other husbands on how to protect their wives or lead their wives well?
I mean, I would say maybe pray with them from time to time. I'm not saying I do it all the time, but just take some time to occasionally pray with them, or just spend time doing other things than just, your regular, just checking up on them. Say, hey, how's it going? And then we'll send each other little scripture verses every now and then too. Just little things.
Going back and forth. Staying in the Word.
Yeah. So Jenny, as a future wife, do you have some things in your mind, like how you would protect your children, or how you would like a husband to protect you?
Prayer.
As a future prayer? Like praying together, or just
both?
Being like, hey, I prayed for you?
Both.
Okay.
I think it would be really cool to, even from beginning to date, every single night to pray, together.
Okay. Yeah, and so again, the praying out loud together would be important to you, right? To be able to do that.
Yeah.
What about your future kids? Same thing?
I don't know. I would definitely be more involved with them, in the Bible. I'd definitely make sure that they understood it, as opposed to just hearing about it. Okay. Because I think that matters.
Right. Yeah, and so I would just say for all of it, because we're at the end now. So I think this is just a personal thing for me, is that I don't think we take enough time to sit down with our kids and or with our wife and just talk about life experience and how it applies to how God is leading us in the things we're doing. I think sometimes we get so caught up in we got to do a Bible study, or we got to read the Bible, or we got to pray together. And I'm part of the disconnect from my kids, early on was you can read and talk about the Bible, but it has no life experience to it. They don't have any idea how that applies to anything. And so that's why I think being in conversations with our kids about what's going on, and then not go back to, what the Bible says, that's, again, there's a difference in applying the principles of Scripture to the lives of people than saying, the Bible says.
Absolutely.
Right. So I think it's part of our craft, or part of our responsibility, to understand that, to go through these life experiences with them. Yes. And then bring a perspective of Scripture. It doesn't have to be a verse of Scripture. Right. It's a perspective of Scripture that brings clarity to a situation. Right. If we can do that, I think it helps then connect the dots, because I think the biggest disconnect for people today is, the Bible says and the world does, and I have no idea how to put them together. Or the Bible says this about I should be the spiritual leader in my home, but then I'm trying to figure out how to do it in my home, and it never really works. And so instead of just this is where we're at, and this is why I feel like we should work through this situation, and then just have conversation. Right? Sit down, have conversation. But remember that, and this would be the other part of it, is conversation has to be happening and ongoing for you to be able to have any intentional conversation. Yes. You know what I mean? If you just show up in your kid's room,
One day, that's weird.
You never talk
so
to them,
weird.
or you never sit down with them and have any type of fun conversation, and then you show up like, hey, you want to sit down and talk? And they're like, oh, no.
Yep.
What did I do? Because Dad never talks to me, or Dad never.
Yeah, I would highly suggest that if you have kids, to take them out on dates.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Just one-on-one. Just fun times, because then, like you said, you're already building that relationship. Then you can go in the room and have those kind of conversations.
Yep, we used to date our kids all the time.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah, everyone had a date night or date day or breakfast or whatever
So
it was.
cute.
So they would pick wherever place they would want to go, and I'd take them and sit with them. And again, because we gave them time, right, to be able to do that. So that's great advice, Nick. Nick, I'm looking at Nick.
You can see both of them.
Nick's like, no.
Great advice, Dan. On being able to date your kids,
that.
and it's obvious. Date your wife.
Yeah.
Have these conversations that go along with it. So let's end it with this. So if we were going to give advice to people, we've already said, like, here's some things that we can do with our kids. Here's some things that we can do with our family. But one of the things, Dan, that you brought up is pretty much we know that we can be ready when we know we're about the business of God.
Yeah.
Right? So how is it that we, as people of God, can be about his business? Right? And I'm not saying it just generally, because sometimes we're just like, well, go out and reach people for Jesus. So, like, I'll just give you an example. One of the things that we talked about earlier was being about the business of God could be coming into this room and running a camera.
Right.
Yeah.
Being on a computer. You know what I'm saying? Like, people forget sometimes that when we say about being about the business of God, it doesn't mean you out there pulling people down to their knees, leading them to Christ. Right? There's other ways to be about the business of God. And so maybe speak into how you've done it or how you've seen other people do it. And so that we can give people this broader perspective about being about the business of God.
Right.
I see, for me, like, serving is definitely the biggest thing, because you're getting out there and you're just helping people, like, especially youth. Like, we talk about this at church all the time. We got to get this generation going. So just hanging out with the kids is huge, because you're reaching out, you're showing them how it is to be, and just anything that you can do to relationally to be with people and show them the love of God that's huge right there. I mean, and again, like you said, in the background, like, I'm a time when people come up and say, "Oh man, it sounded so great today," and it's just because when I was church shopping before I came here, you go to some churches and you walk in, you're just kind of like it might have been a good service.
Nobody wanted
but like
to talk.
you don't really understand how, like, if the music sounded bad, the preacher's mic was all it's a turnoff.
Right.
So
distraction.
It is.
Right,
Like I said, distraction. So, I mean, like you said, just coming in and doing good on that, people are distracted and focused. So just there's something for everyone to do. It's just you got to get out and serve and be with the people somehow.
Right. Right. Good.
Yeah.
Jenny, thoughts?
That's an Ariel song. Be where the people are.
Oh, geez.
Well, sing it. Who's Ariel?
I don't know. Well,
Little Mermaid?
Little Mermaid.
Oh, got it.
That's just what came to my mind.
Okay.
Anyways, one thing I say that I always say is, and something I don't do well enough, but I should.
Something I always say, but I don't do.
Yes, but I should be
That's
doing.
aware of it. That's
okay.
That is my biggest piece of advice: is to give your testimony and not discount anything, whether it be just something that God did recently or your whole life story.
Yeah, so let's clarify that, because this is the other thing that people get weirded out about. So if somebody says, "Hey, come and give Jenny your testimony," they're thinking they have to have this huge story,
like drug convert. I was deep into drugs.
Yeah, no. So, I mean, you're saying, come and tell me your story, just meaning this. It could be as simple as, it was so cool this week, God did.
Yeah, God showed up when, where, why.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Doesn't
and how
have to
would
be
people,
detailed.
because again, that would be the thing. We tell people to share it. And the reason that you're passionate about it is because you do that, right? You help people share their testimony. So I'm going to give a recommendation. Okay. So here's a recommendation. If you're a podcast listener, I would suggest that you figure out how to have a meeting with Jenny and let Jenny interview you. And through the interviewing process, Jenny's good about pulling out pieces of your story and putting it together and reminding everybody that everybody has a story.
Yes, I could get it out of everybody.
So I would just recommend sitting down with Jenny. She's really good at sitting down, getting, people's what's going on in their life and being able to extrapolate out like cool parts of their story. So if you're listening to the podcast, you could use the number that Jenny's going to show us later, that you could text it in and then Jenny will get back with you on it. But that would be my recommendation. Is that
I love that.
She said, share your testimony. So over the next couple weeks,
that's
send
her challenge.
It in. Yeah.
We'll wait until I'm done from Disney.
No, I'm saying you can text it. No, I'm saying text it in.
Yeah. So I can get a meeting.
Yeah. We'll have it in a place and Jenny will be getting back with you, setting up a meeting. And
I love that.
Yeah. Being able to do it.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. So mine, again, it's pretty much the same, but I've always said, pick what you love. So there's two things in your life. There's always something to do. So what Dan says, if you're coming to a local church or you're going to a local church right now, find a place, man your station, be a part of the team. So if you're coming to Life Church, find a place. And if you can't find a place, it's not that hard.
There's so much.
No, I know, but I'm saying it's not that hard. One of the things you're going to be seeing, it's pretty cool. Nick and his team's going to be doing this coming up in, I think it's sometime in the summer or the fall. There's going to be like a volunteer push. And so like his team's now thinking and creating ways so that people can like know, because it is hard. What do you do here? And how do you know, what to do? Like, because there was an example given of like, we talked about being people volunteering in children's. Yeah. And so some people are like, oh, kids. Like, I don't know if I could do kids. But then they didn't know that you could run check-in.
Yeah, so much more than that.
That's what I'm saying, because people just don't know.
Right.
So that's going to be coming down the road. So I've always said, man a station in the church that you're in, pick a place. If you're coming, get into one of those. Then that's being about the business of God on a Sunday morning, giving people a chance. Because remember, every single person that walks in this door, we want them to experience the presence and power of the Holy Spirit, and it takes everybody manning their station. Yes. Right? And the other part is do what you love, but do it on purpose. Pick the things that you love, do it on purpose. Yeah. And if you do that, you'll never get burn out doing ministry.
Yeah, and that's easy.
If you take those two things, man your station on a Sunday morning, everybody needs to be a part of what's going on. And that's just a part about being about God's business. Right. And we got to pick a spot, and we got to be at our spot, and we got to man the station we at. And then if you pick the things that you love and you just start putting purpose behind it, things are going to flourish. Yeah. Right? And God's going to be able to be used in amazing ways. Yeah. So I think
you're passionate about it.
Yeah. Right. All right. So Dan, again, thank you. Thanks for coming on. We appreciate, not only being on our podcast, but honestly, all the things that you've done for the years at Life Church. Dan's a perfect example of somebody said, give me a station, I'll man it. Janelle, the same way. Give me a station, I'll man it. Wherever. And throughout all of these years, and the cool thing is Dan's been through the ups and downs, so if you ever want to talk to anybody about like what it was like before, you know what I mean? Like it's been a long journey. That's what I mean. Yeah. And so what's so cool about it is I'm so thankful, because Dan's story of watching this happen and sticking it out to me is a testimony of what it takes, because now he's seeing the fruit of the sacrifice, right?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I mean, if you
think about where we were 16 years ago, it's just crazy.
It's really hard for anybody actually.
And it's God. It's all God.
We can tell them, Dan, you can be my first person to sit down with me in a meeting.
No, I'm just saying, I mean, you have to look at people like Dan and just say that's the reason that God can work, is because people stick it out and people put up with it.
If it wasn't for that,
I've always said this, like this is just Life Church today, and it's going to be another 16 years, and that journey's tough. Like if you're going to be out there and you're going to put yourself out there and you're going to be a part of this army, I keep going back to, I wish we had some of the same things as Salvation Army.
I love that.
I wish we named our people.
I want to be an officer.
No, I want to be a soldier.
I want to be everything.
That's what I'm saying. Like, but either way, Dan exhibited, him and Janelle both have exhibited what it really means to go through the good and the bad. And as you're going through the good and the bad, just jump in. Because there's 1,000 things to do, especially like in the beginning. And people think there's 1,000 things to do now. Think about it when we had nobody.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And no money, and there's nothing that we could do. And so, Dan, just thank you. So I'm really, so thankful to know you for this long, and to just watch, your evolution and your family, watch your family grow up. Again, one of the greatest things about being in ministry is I get to see children when they're young grow up to be young men and women, and to see, that journey together. And we just want to say thank you, for all of what you've done throughout all of these years to build the foundational platform right? That's what the guy in the Baylor University, he sold this to his team, because when they were at the place, like they lost all these players and they're down to these 7 players and weren't very good, they said, you know what, you're never going to experience the national championship, but your name will be forever imprinted on the time when they do, because you laid a foundation.
Yeah.
And it takes so many people to lay that foundation, and so few people get to see it, because they don't like just to take a brick and put it on top of the next brick and the next brick and the next brick. They want to stand at a wall and look at it completed.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful that you are one of those people that said, you know what, I'm going to lay bricks.
Yeah.
And I'm going to keep laying bricks, and that we get to sit back and say thank you to the people that are, and that will continue to do. And that from your testimony and your example, we can all sit back and say, we all just laid a brick. You know what I mean? Right. And then God got to work.
Yep.
As long as we just keep laying the bricks and building the walls, God gets to do the most amazing work and possible. So thanks, Dan, for all that you've done. Thanks for being on the podcast and your story and testimony in your life. And again, thanks to everybody for joining us. So before we go, though, dang it, real quick.
What?
Text. I forgot the text thing.
Oh, I wasn't going to forget it, though.
Oh, well, I was about ready to say goodbye.
I wasn't. Don't you worry.
So
I would have interrupted
on a roll
you.
of getting ready to say thanks and see you later. So, Jenny, tell people how they can get a hold of us.
Okay, so you can get a hold of us by, I don't even think anybody's emailed us anymore.
No,
that's
the new
old
thing.
school.
Yeah,
so now it's just the phone number. I know, right?
This is the new thing.
So you're going to text podcast to 408-8383, and we want you to do this by sending questions, comments, concerns, if you want to be a guest, now an interview.
Can I interrupt you for a second? Is
Why?
this really how you do it? Do you like...
Do it right now.
No, I don't have my phone.
Yes.
But you know what I mean? Like, do you put podcast in like what
the
you're
message.
saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've never done it before.
Because
so you type the number in.
You type the
and
number
then where
in.
the message is, you just say podcast.
Yes.
Well,
You wanna know why?
You can just text the
Right.
number, just have a conversation, or if you do text podcast, it brings you to a group.
Okay.
And then so we can text out the whole group.
Got
Right.
it. Okay, so I never have done anything like this before. So every time you said it, I didn't want to ask because I didn't want to seem like
Why?
a dummy. Because I didn't want to be the
Oh,
idiot.
my gosh.
I didn't want to be the idiot that
Well-
would be like, when you say text podcast, does it like really mean?
It really does.
In the part where you would write the message
Yes.
to somebody, you say podcast.
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It's
I
okay.
interrupted
Hey,
you.
I'm sure there were a ton of people that needed to know that. I guarantee it.
But I'm just telling you, you need to be a part of the group.
Well, yes, definitely, especially because, like, time to come, we will eventually have different groups.
Right.
So that will be necessary, so you're not in, like, the children's group or something.
Right.
you
Well,
know?
I mean, the other part of it is, too, like, you guys send out, you're going to be our guest, and
Yes.
sometimes we put it out there, like, do you have any questions for
Right.
Because remember, that what
Ways to
makes
get
this
involved.
special is the relationship aspect, connecting with you and
Yes.
being able to bring those two worlds together.
Yeah.
So that makes it happen.
Yes.
That's our avenue. That
Yeah.
and YouTube. Right, and the questions that come
Right.
back through YouTube.
Yeah,
So,
the YouTube comments, questions. I
Right.
mean, that's really all the last episode was.
Right.
So, yeah, we just want to have a relationship with you. And if you can't be on the show, we want you on the show within your words.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, send us out, Jenny, since I tried once.
What?
It's time to say goodbye.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody, for joining us. See you next week.
Bye.